and welcome to Uncontested with MSK. It has been a long time since we have been back. We got Kevin, we got Sam, we got your host, me, Matt. How's it going, boys? It's been a minute.
It's playoff basketball, so it's a good time of the year.
It's a great time. It's like the equivalent of Christmas. I think we can all agree that it's like our summer Christmas for us, where it's like, oh, we have more. In a way, March Madness is like the spring Christmas. We got summer Christmas, and then fall is when basketball starts. So that's our fall Christmas, and then there's Christmas. We got Christmas games. So right now we're celebrating Christmas, guys. So, and for the other folks, happy Hanukkah, I guess, in the summer.
Happy Hanukkah to all of us. All right, so we've got a quick rundown. There has been a lot of playoff basketball in these past couple of weeks. So we're just going to go through a majority of the series. We'll touch on some stuff that's going on right now. But really quickly, before we get into the series, I just want to bring up a few pieces of news that has happened. First off, Wemby. Who would have thought Rookie of the Year? Like, seriously, blew my mind, Sam. Are you just as shocked as I am? I can't imagine.
Look, I think this is probably the best rookie we've ever seen ever. I think that's just a fact. So you tell me I'm wrong. Someone tell me I'm wrong.
No.
Wait, hold on. There we go. That's what I thought. Okay. That's what I thought. But yeah, I think at first, beginning of the season, I think we thought Chet could be really up there. But Chet had a pretty decent year. I think Shea, I don't think the real question is, I don't think anyone expected Shea to be like this, to really be him right now, how he is right now. And along with the supporting cast, it does take away a lot of the scoring. And that goes with all the other young stars on that team, like even Josh Giddey, scoring a lot less more in that case. But, what you're going to say, I already found his name, Brandon, what's his last name? What's his last name? Exactly. It doesn't matter. It's Wemby. Wemby's a great last name. It's not even his whole name. Like, we just made up a name basically for him. Yes, it was a poor season for the Spurs, but it is a bright future, unlike the Suns, who are dimming. But that's a later topic. But I think we all agree watching Wemby was probably super fun. It's been a while. We've seen a lanky big man since probably KD. And even then, I think it's something a little different because I think we just knew KD just has the same kind of move and it's just a natural scorer. But Wemby as a big man, and especially how the game has evolved, it's been a blast because the way he's got a little bit of this Curry-esque vibe with a little bit of Giannis, how he travels down the court, and the ability to kind of just take over. I think there's still like a lack of maturity in how his game is, and obviously it's going to shape with some great coaching and hopefully with some great pieces in the summer. But no, I agree. I think it was pretty obvious. I don't know if you guys saw the video tribute. I think the Fanatics ad they did for Wemby. But they basically invited him and like, oh, we're gonna do some Fanatics showcase. And so he's like, all right, bet. And he's in a room with all like the other people who won Rookie of the Year. And then he was surprised with all the players that won Rookie of the Year over the past like 10, 15 years, like saying like, oh, like congrats, my boy. And then it's like it showed like the Rookie of the Year trophy, but you guys aren't clearly happy with how things are. But get a winner. That's why be good at the game. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about right here.
But, all right, fight me.
Okay. But yeah, that's very obvious. Spurs will be the best team again. So once again, playing here, good luck. Because it ain't gonna happen. But
fuck right off. Why you gotta put salt on the wound, man? That's just not even fair.
I haven't got to Paul George yet. Wait.
All right, listen. I think it's super obvious that he won Rookie of the Year. This dude's gonna be so much fun to watch, and like I think it's funny because I feel like in that meeting of just like having all the Rookie of the Year, he was probably just like shaking all of their hands, and in his head he was just like mid. But truly, we're very excited to have him. Kevin, you and I were talking about this a little bit. Pat Beverly, what a fucking joke to the NBA. My God. Recently has been getting a lot of hate for some pretty sexist bullshit that he's done. He was getting interviewed or supposedly trying to be interviewed by a very respected reporter, female reporter, who basically he was just like, "Do you watch my podcast?" And she was just like, "No." And he's just like, "Okay, then you can't talk to me." And it's just like, first off, we don't want to hear about your shitty fucking podcast. Like, second off, you have no accolades whatsoever. Like, in all seriousness, you're like the fucking hooker of the league, man. You're going from team to team to team to team. Like, you gotta get your shit checked. Because you got some really rare STDs going on you, bro. Like, absolutely not. I'm bringing the heat. I'm Patrick
This is
Beverly.
a
He
salmon
was on
heat.
Bulls. I don't give a fuck. This dude sucks.
My man's a Pat Bev hater.
Yes, I
I
am.
know. I've never seen so much hate. I've never seen so much hate for a man. Never, ever have I seen hate for a man like this.
Yeah, well, you know what? I got to give hate to a guy who is a pussy and wants to shove people in the back because he thinks he's top shit. Also likes to throw balls at like fans in the stadium. Like, it's too much. Kevin, do you have your 5 cents on this, or am I just hitting all the spots?
I'm a Pat Bev defender a little bit.
You're
But
bitch.
the comment to the reporter is pathetic for sure. Um, and the throwing the ball in a fit is sad. And he did come out on his podcast, which, side note, his podcast kind of is dope. Him and Roan, guy from Barstool, fire. Both of them, fire. So don't knock his podcast. You can knock him, don't knock his podcast.
That's true. I will say that.
But he came on his podcast, I think it was today, like this morning or something like that. And he was like, yo, that's unacceptable. That's on me. I'll never do it again. Fully take responsibility. That's my fault. I shouldn't do that. And then he was like, but the guy didn't just say Cancun and 3 to him. The guy was like, Pat Bev was like, I've been called a lot of shit in my life. And he was like, I've never heard someone use those words directed at a person before. And I was like, damn, okay, so this guy was really like talking some shit. So if you're losing your playoff series when you're on a possible championship winning team with the Bucks and you get kind of embarrassed in that series and then people are just not respecting you, I can see why people would be upset. Now, that doesn't excuse anything. He should not have done that, and he knows that. But man kind of balled out this series. Just saying, man kind of balled out. He was getting like 15 assists a game or something like that. Like,
right.
Just saying.
No, I mean along those lines, it's like, two things about his sexist comment. Then why do we still like Ball dad? I forgot his name. LeVar Ball. Similar comment made, but we were like, you know what? That's my boy. Putting them in their place. That's what he said. I didn't say that. I did not say that. But it's made it very clear. I mean, we have a very strong female audience, obviously, with this podcast. Kim, don't nod like there is, okay? I was just saying that for context.
That was the bit.
But okay, now I have to edit this. But and the other take is what makes him different than Draymond Green. But it's like, how do we give praise to Draymond still? And maybe I know Matthew probably has a different take on Draymond Green as well. I still like Draymond Green for his like intensity. It is definitely carried away. I mean, sucker punching your teammate and then sending him to DC for him to rot. I mean, also a different story. Shout out to Poole, maybe if he's still there. But I think on Kevin's lines, I definitely like the intensity that Pat Bev is. I definitely hate him, but he is you always need one player in the NBA that knows how to get under your skin. Pat Bev has been doing that that's how Russell Westbrook got broken. He literally got under Russell Westbrook's skin constantly when he was in Houston, and it destroyed him at that point. I mean, he has been a nuisance in any place he's been to, even against his own team. But I think think about this. It's like, how is Pat Bev no different than Bobby Portis? Bobby Portis killed a man. He literally killed an Italian man and sent him packing. Now we're over here like Bobby Portis, like, I love you, like sign my baby, So, maybe that fan will be like, hey, Pat Bev, can you sign the ball that you threw at my face? Like, I feel like Pat Bev is Pat Bev has to be the character, and because Draymond's too old, he's literally leaving the league. Pat Bev, I mean, he's pretty old too, but like, he's the kind of new Draymond. I mean, I don't think Pat Bev doesn't have any titles. I mean, unless you count him winning the first or that one play-in game
I
for the
was about to
Timberwolves,
say
going
that. I was
crazy.
straight up about to say
Uh,
that.
then he's a real American hero. Salute to that man. Um, but you know what? It's Pat Bev. We have low expectations of him anyways. I agree with you, Matthew, that it is like very low of him to do this, but I think it's like almost his character. Like he can't not do it. Like if you're playing a game, like you watch his podcast, like he's actually like besides that incident, he's pretty like composed. I mean, he just talks his shit, but it's not as bad as like him talking in front of the cameras and like in the game stuff like that. So I don't know. I find that's kind of a character thing, but I mean, you see me on the streets and on the podcast, two different people.
Oh yeah, 100%. All right, boys, let's get into the series. Round 1, Cavs destroyed. Well, I shouldn't say destroyed. They beat the Magic in 7 games, which I think was pretty interesting for a lot of people. Not to mention, not interesting for a majority of the people because they barely got any showtime whatsoever, which is kind of like big disrespect, but also very understandable. Not a whole lot of people were watching that game series except for me, apparently. Um, Biggest thing I can say for this series, I think it was very interesting to watch um, the Magic's defense. Like we're going to be talking about the Timberwolves all day later, but like the Magic has a crazy amount of defense. Paolo was absolutely fire. He was killing it this entire series. Jalen Suggs had a wild game too, where he was banking threes day after day after day, which was wild. Um, it was definitely a very interesting series to watch, and it's almost telling what that team needs to actually get that next step. Not Klay Thompson, because that man is cooked, but they need a shooter on that team. Much like the Cavs, having that shooter, Donovan Mitchell going the fuck off, multiple games with 50 points. Like that man is carrying this team, and we're seeing that in the second round against the Celtics right now. They just lost their game. Celtics dominated them. It was like 120 to 94, I want to say, with Donovan Mitchell having 33 points. Trying to carry that team, but getting gassed the fuck up. The dude cannot do it himself, man. He is a offensive anomaly, but he can't do it himself. The Knicks beating the 76ers. Sam. R.I.P. Embiid.
I mean, I think I'm still gonna say it. I think he definitely did not deserve to win MVP. I don't think he's ever an MVP caliber player, and not entirely his fault, but he's not healthy. He's never been healthy. I mean, maybe this season probably is his healthiest season, but uh, it's just something is just not right. I mean, for him to also call out his own like fans and saying there's too many Knicks fans in our arena, I was like, isn't that like why are you doing that? Why? I mean, I know Philly's about like being enticed, the very brotherly love, even though it's all about like I'm going to punch you in the face, in the streets real quick.
Throw batteries
I
at
don't
Sam.
know. It's just like I mean, we've seen the 76ers team being rebuilt. I mean, over the past like 10, 12 years. And what have we really seen from production? They drafted a lot of good people, a lot of mistakes. Markel Fultz over Jason Tatum, let's not forget. Literally could have been changing the franchise. Think about it. The Boston Celtics would have got Markel Fultz. Do you think they would be in this position? I would probably say no, right? I mean, I think we would agree that
That's wild.
Philly would probably be something. I don't know if Jason would be maybe, he had Brad Stevens to really coach him, and Brad Stevens was a great coach as well at most times. But I mean, that mistake. I mean, Ben Simmons, I think was a great thing. I think unfortunate for the injuries, and also I feel like the city and the team not really supporting his like issue, and maybe whatever really happened, that happened. The only thing that did work was Embiid, but I think we're seeing year over year, it's first round, second round, first round, second round. And it's like something's not working. And they got Daryl Morey now, and he made a statement saying that, Embiid, Maxey, and I don't know who the third player was. Not relevant to us, of course, because it's Philly, but they're protected. Everyone is gone. So Tobias Harris has been made very clear not coming back with 76ers. No one's safe. No one's protected. So, I mean, we'll have to see, but I don't know. I mean, I know you spent a decade like trying to rebuild, but it's like, is this the time to just like fully blow it up? I mean, it's not like Embiid's dead. I mean, there's a lot of good assets. I mean, especially knowing this market, it's 3 first-round picks guaranteed, right? For him, probably 4. And someone's gonna bite on that. Someone in the worst 6 teams in each conference is gonna bite on that, And why not, take advantage of that? And we've all played 2K. So what you do, you take your best player after you win a title and you trade his ass and you get 15 billion picks. You become the OKC Thunder, So I think where Philly is a mistake to keep running it back. I like Tyrese Maxey, but I don't. There's nothing about him I'm like wow about. I've seen a lot of good talent. I don't think he's there yet. He could be there, but it's something we'll have to see. But real quick, the Knicks though. Let's praise the motherfucking Knicks because finally Jalen Brunson is him. He's actually him. 4th in MVP race. Think about that. The man from Villanova, I think, was undrafted. I could be wrong. I have to confirm that. Or very late in the second round. I mean, basically just revived this whole team. I mean, they're the 2nd seed. Yes, they're very far from the Boston Celtics, but I think for the amount of years we've been talking about the Knicks, I think that's not a bash, you guys. It's understandable, but I've been on the Tom Thibodeau train that he's going to make the Knicks good. He's going to make it good. And here we are. They're making it good. He beat this team, actually a very decent roster. Built the Villanova Wildcats, essentially. Added OG Anunoby. Mitchell Robinson, unfortunately, got injured. We'll have to see how that pans out in the next round. But, man, the Knicks, they are something. And I think for the first time, I'd say they're enjoyable. We don't have to talk about their owner for the first time,
Yeah.
So it's going to be a fun series when they go into the next round.
Really quickly, Brunson had another 40-point game today, or against the Pacers. I don't think that was today. I think that was yesterday. Incredible game. Not to mention Josh Hart, who is playing out of his fucking mind, which is absolutely wild. But yeah, the Knicks are actually pretty entertaining to watch right now. Kevin, Celtics absolutely fucked the Heat. It was tough. Jimmy is firing back on all cylinders, saying that he would have won if he was playing. How are we feeling about this? Do you think it was kind of written in the stars for the Celtics to beat the Heat? Do you think Jimmy would have really made that much of a difference? How you feeling about that series?
Listen, I love playoff Jimmy Butler. Man is a different breed.
Absolutely.
He's like the definition of playoff basketball is different than regular season. Him and Jamal Murray are like the two playoff guys that just turn it on. But I don't think he would have made a difference in this series. Like if you look at it, like the Heat don't have any depth. They have 5 people. Jimmy would have given them a 6th person, and then that's all you got. Like you got 6 people versus the Celtics who have what 9 deep, all scoring like double digits every single game or something like that. Like even when Tatum and Brown are off the court, like Celtics are still shooting really well. They're still doing a lot of good stuff. Jimmy would not have been able to stop that on his own. And the Heat team, unfortunately, were not built for this series this year. I think Jimmy is amazing. I think he still has a lot of potential when he's healthy. But I think he's getting to that point of every year he's getting older and he's still getting injured more. And we're starting to sadly see the downfall of Jimmy Butler shortly, I think.
He's 35 as well. That's what's crazy. I did not know that he was that old. He's turning 35.
Yeah.
Which makes it interesting. But sorry to interrupt, but I don't know if you read what Pat Riley said about Jimmy's comments, but please do continue because that will be interesting take from Pat Riley.
I think
that was good.
I think Pat Riley's just a rich old white dude that's sitting in his throne, looking down at all these peons playing basketball, and he's just gonna talk his shit. But just like Jimmy's gonna talk his shit. So like, I want the smoke from Jimmy all day long. Like, if there's one thing Jimmy Butler is good at, unlike Pat Bev or whoever, like Jimmy Butler is good at talking shit and backing it up. The fact that the most iconic Jimmy Butler thing to ever happen in the history of the world was him on the Timberwolves playing with the third string guys, beating the entire starters, and then immediately going to a press conference and or an interview or whatever, and basically being like, I just whooped these guys' asses, get me out of here, and basically requesting a trade live. Like, that is the most, that man has balls the size of fucking bowling balls. Like, that man is on another level of trash talk and shit like that. So I want him to keep talking his shit. Like, Pat Riley can go suck it. Like, man's probably has more money than he knows what to do with, and probably has hookers and blow on the weekend every single week. So.
Oh man, everyone feeling like Sam Henn today. I can tell you that.
Pat Riley is giving here's one for you nerds out there. Pat Riley's giving hardcore Celestial Dragon vibes.
Yeah, 100%.
Can I get a hell yeah from those One Piece fans? Let's go.
Hell yeah, brother.
Sam, a very, very well, actually, I don't know if this is surprising or if it isn't surprising. I feel like it's a combination of both, but Bucks losing in 6 to the Pacers. I think it's the reason why I say this is because I don't think it's super surprising because Giannis wasn't playing, but also like I don't know, this whole team has been a huge question mark this entire season. It's been just like an entirely weird year for them. But throwing it to the Pacers, do you think this is kind of like just like a fluke game? You know, no Giannis, barely any Damian Lillard. Like, what are we thinking about the Pacers moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think we all understand that especially if we love the Pacers at times. I think they are the most mid team that we've ever seen. I mean, I think that's just they've been consistently mid. They've been either since I guess Paul George was there. I'm gonna say that I'm gonna say the Paul George talk later, but uh, I still give props. I definitely like this roster. I mean, they balled out. They balled out regardless of the situation. And I think they are a legitimate threat. I mean, they even how close they got with the Knicks into the next round. I mean, it literally just came down to 2 plays. Otherwise it was a really equal matchup there. So sure. I mean, I guess we could say, yeah, if Giannis and Lillard are healthy, I would probably confidently switch it and be 6-2, or I'm sorry, 4-2 Bucks in this case. But real quick, do we have a chopping block? We're going to bring back the chopping block because I think it's time to bring up the chopping block segment because the people we're putting on here is Giannis and Lillard. I don't care how unhealthy you could have been. I don't care if you sprained your ankle. It's the motherfucking playoffs. You have to play the playoffs. You cannot. And people are saying, "Oh, but Giannis's calf injury he was not ready yet." But that's just how the game works. You're never not ready. We always hear later after a team loses the Super Bowl or the final, like, "Oh, actually, my fucking ribs were broken. Oh, actually, my throwing arm, I snapped it off like actually before the game." And it's like they always say, but they play, right? They play. I know they make up an excuse, but they still play the game, right? But it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not here to jeopardize anything, but I'm talking from a sense of like being loyal to the city, to the team. It's like, I mean, let's be real. Giannis should not have played the last few games. That was a mistake. There's no reason to play. I mean, if you look at the standings, what would have changed was, okay, maybe they become a 2 seed, but it does. If anything, I'd be shooting myself up at the 76ers, versus the Pacers. At initially thinking that, but if you believe in your roster so much, I mean, you still have like a Damian Lillard, you still have a Chris Middleton. I mean, Chris Middleton was also on and off throughout the series as well, but this team is not bad. It's very mid. It's very average, but can't not play the playoffs. It's like the number one rule as a superstar. You have to play the playoffs, no matter how injured you are. I mean, Kobe did it with torn Achilles and ACL torn. He's done it, and I know Kobe is him, but I mean, if we think Giannis is him, it's like we can't just say a calf strain as like the reason for him being out. That's just like embarrassing. I'm like, it makes me question how loyal Giannis is to the Bucks because I think it's not. I think this is a very clear point that's been made that he is not loyal to Milwaukee anymore. And
Mm,
I'm gonna save that for a later take. But Milwaukee, I
dang.
think, has done everything for him. Has literally done everything that he requested. They brought Adrian Griffin in because okay, they vibe together. But they fired him because he lost the locker room. You know, whatever Doc Rivers says, it's Doc Rivers. We know that. I actually don't blame him at all. I mean, he literally was hired halfway through a successful season. Like, what can you really do? I mean, if you're playing the game, it's the player's fault. That's just facts. The coach can only do so much. The coach can, if the coach is taking you out constantly, then, that's an issue on the coach. But if you're playing the game and you're losing, it's completely on you. You have Damian Lillard, who is still really good. He wasn't the best, but he was still really good from every game he played. Giannis, I mean, Giannis did it with Drew Holiday. What makes it any different? If anything, it should be elevated with the game. But I think this is just proof that Giannis has no loyalty to the Milwaukee Bucks, and I think it's a real disgrace to the game to not play, even though you're injured. And I know that's big talk for me, but we've seen it, right? We've seen people play through injury. What makes it different now?
Yeah, 100%. And I think you really hit the nail on the head with the whole calf strain. Like I would have like understood it a little bit more if it was like a little bit of a harder injury, but like a calf strain. I mean, I don't know the physiology of it. Like I guess like obviously I'm not a doctor or whatever, so I can't really go into depth with that. But it does seem like a very mid injury to have to like sit out for a playoff where you grab Lillard, you grab all of this whole entire like these pieces just to get completely fucked. Um, it's a little concerning for sure. Kevin, your boys, the Nuggets, who we're gonna get into a little bit more a little bit later, but they did beat the Lakers in five. Um, why don't you hit go right on ahead? Tell us your what you thought about that series.
Gonna ignore the current series going on right now for this segment. Pretend like that's not happening.
Smart.
But a lot of good and a lot of bad for the Nuggets this series. I mean, obviously Jamal Murray like went absolutely off a couple games. Like even when he was shooting bad, he just makes the most clutch shots. Obviously, he had two game winners in the last 5 seconds, one at the buzzer. Like that is legendary stuff to do that in the playoffs. And otherwise, like they weren't the Nuggets weren't that good. They were pretty okay at a lot of things. I mean, Jokic was putting up his normal numbers, but nothing crazy, which is funny to say because he was putting up like 25, 10, and 10. And I'm like, hey, it was fine for him, but for anyone else, that would be insane. Um, but they were pretty good. They've improved some of the stuff from last year, and they've lost some of the stuff from last year. Obviously, losing Bruce Brown compared to last year sucks, but MPJ has been outstanding from the 3-point range. Like he's been shooting super, super well. I think before these past two games against the Timberwolves, he was leading for playoff 3-point percentage. He was shooting like 55% from three or something like that. It was stupid. Um, and the Lakers just, I feel bad because you could tell the Lakers were giving it everything they had, every ounce of effort. They were putting it on the court. They were up by 10, 15, 20 points at the half of every single game, basically. And then the third quarter showed up and they would be a little gassed, and the Nuggets would run up the score. And then the fourth quarter, the Lakers would try and come back, and Jokic would just do Jokic things and just walk up to the basket and be like, boop. And I felt bad. Like LeBron was giving it his all, AD was giving it his all, and it just wasn't enough. And I think that should tell the Lakers organization something about what they should do next year. Because if you have two superstars in LeBron and AD, and it's not enough to win 2 games in a playoff series where the other team is not playing well. Maybe it's time to move on if you're the Lakers. Maybe it's time to blow up your team. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Like 100%. The Lakers are definitely getting to that point where it's kind of just like shrug.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know how loyal LeBron is to the Lakers. I think he's more interested in playing with his son. Totally understandable. I get it. But like I have a feeling, depending on the team, I don't think he's crazy to go to any team, but I feel like he's more interested in playing with his son than staying with the Lakers. That kind of just seems like the team is sort of falling apart. Um, Sam, the Timberwolves. My goodness. This team is absolutely insane. And I got to like take a step back because we shit on this team a lot. Like it's like number one are the Clippers because they have Paul George. And then it's just like right here is the Timberwolves. We love to shit on the Timberwolves. Oh my God. They destroyed the Suns. They made them look like a bitch. They took down KD. They took down fucking that entire team. Bradley Beal, who? I don't know. Like Devin Booker, who needs them? This defense is wild. Like it, and which I'll be getting into a little bit later. Anthony Edwards, absolutely dominating this entire like whoever he's playing against. He just seems to absolutely destroy them. Sam, how are we feeling about this series with the Suns? Because I feel like it brings up a lot. I mean, we were just talking about how the Lakers have a lot of question marks. What about the Suns?
I mean, I don't know, Ken, you probably feel the same way, but I think Matt just took over that set, and we know how he felt about them. But this Suns team, I mean, the Suns team just got Suns and Ford right now from a couple years ago. Yeah, I think this is something we didn't really expect. I think we can all agree probably this series, and I mean, we could probably even think the Nuggets and Lakers, it would have been like a real like fight. And I think the Nuggets Lakers was actually a little bit legitimate of a fight, you know. But I mean, anytime you turn on the T-Wolves Suns, it is just obliteration after obliteration. And it's just like it doesn't make sense, you know. You got Kevin Durant, you trade for Bradley Beal, so you should at least be putting up real offensive numbers. And I know the biggest thing here is Bradley Beal wasn't healthy, right? So no, everyone's like, oh, they didn't play together, and I was like, okay, I get it, but it's like you're still all-star talent, right? How do you not make it work, right? Someone has to, you know. The thing is, like, if you get only scores, someone has to give, right? And you know why Miami Heat worked? It's because Chris Bosh didn't score. That's why it worked. Someone had to take a sacrifice, but no one on this team is taking a sacrifice, and you know, it puts into question that, you know, what was this team made for? Was it just purely made for the hype? They got new ownership, so we got to do something different. Um, I think Bradley Beal never was good at defense to begin with, so adding him, like to me, I kind of feel him as like a shittier version of Devin Booker, like probably on par with Devin Booker in terms of the scoring ability. But I mean, D Book does play defense here and there. But I mean, I think it's also the coming of age that like we see LeBron aging. I think this is we're seeing Kevin Durant not be the same player that he was. He's turning 36, you know, so it's coming up for him as well. Uh, but the Suns whole that was a whole thing this offseason. Besides the Lakers, it's always about it was the Suns. I think we all agree. Oh, like is DeAndre Ayton, can he even be on this roster? You know, he's weak and they dumped his ass. You know, they got Beal, they got Yusuf Nurkic, you know, they got some real pieces, but they also got rid of a lot of good talent. Like Michael Bridges, remember him? He's now rotting in Brooklyn. He's the best player, but you know, like they had actual good depth. You know, Cam Johnson. I mean, then Grayson Allen actually panned out for them, which I think was really good for a few of their games. But I mean, this Suns team, I think we can all agree, is probably the new Lakers, where they experimented with getting talent and it just failed. It just didn't work. At least the Lakers won a title. I can just say that. You
Yeah.
know. Suns haven't done it. They're just back to the same old. I mean, there's rumors that D Book is going to be out, off this roster, probably in the near future. So, we'll have to see what happens. But I mean, kudos to the T-Wolves. I think we have to redact a lot of our past hate because it's finally, they finally made it. They finally made it to a team that we can enjoy. They have a lot of this. They kind of remind me of the Memphis Grizzlies like, there's the grind, but you don't really hate them that much. You just kind of actually enjoy them more. I think it's the first time we can actually enjoy Rudy Gooby's play. Shout out to the boy. He got his little baby as well. Hopefully the baby doesn't know that he spread COVID throughout the NBA. Maybe to this podcast he will.
Always remember.
Always remember. Don't touch the mic, kids. But this T-Wolves, I mean, Anthony Edwards is just a whole different something. I think even when he got drafted, we were like, we don't really know anything about him. He made the comments about, well, I'd rather be in the NFL right now and all this stuff. But oh man, I mean, watching him play, I mean, postering people, it's like because we didn't have Ja, this was like our reminder that like, oh, okay, like we still got some good talent. We got some real young guys that just want to just punch everybody all day, punch these teams, nonstop. So really excited for T-Wolves. I think if we can say the sun is finally setting in Phoenix.
Yeah, I just really quickly want to bring this up. On game 4, for the Timberwolves, they won, obviously, 122-116. Eric Gordon had 39 minutes. Why the hell does he have 39 minutes and Nurkic has 20?
Along the same lines, KD and Devin Booker combined for 82 points of the 116. Everyone else on that team, not a single other person got double digits. Even Bradley Beal got 9 in 31 minutes. Royce O'Neal, 37 minutes, 6.6 rebounds. Like,
Anthony Edwards demolished this team. The only game that he didn't score 30 plus points, Anthony Edwards, was game 2 where he had 15 points, and fair enough, he was plus 15 on the court. Like, that's wild. Like, you can be one of the lowest scoring players on your team, but if you're like actually like doing something for your team, that's all that really matters, right? And obviously this guy has proven that this dude is a bona fide star. This guy is going to be wonderful for the future of this franchise. Going into the next one, Sam, I'm sure you've got some beef because you've been talking about Paul George for quite a bit now. Clippers. Oh, what the hell is going on here? Sorry, guys. Okay, really quickly. Yeah, I know. I'm the worst. I love technology. It's great. Sam, Mavs destroyed the Clippers. How are we feeling about Paul George? And well, actually, that's all I should really say. How are we feeling about Paul George?
I mean, it's wild to really think. It's funny because the Clippers always get a pass superstar talent. They literally have Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, James Harden, Russell Westbrook. Like, what is there to? How do they get the pass every time we talk about superstars? And we bash LeBron. That's fair. LeBron just has AD. He doesn't have anyone else. You will have 4 motherfucking star talent, and none of them know how to shoot the fucking ball. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how bad of a team this is. I'm gonna be real with you. This Dallas Mavericks team was not good. It was not a good team. The reason it was working is because Kyrie started playing basketball again, and that is great to see for us as fans and for the league to see that Kyrie Irving that we grew up watching. But let's just jump to this because it's just sadness. It's just nothing good about this at all. I mean, when you see that 2 of the 6 games, the leading scorer is Norman Powell, that is a problem. Why is Norman Powell, why is he your main scorer when you have at least 3 active stars playing for sure? I think this also goes along the lines of the whole, if you're in the playoffs, you should play all your games, even if you're injured. Maybe Kawhi is a little exception, but I don't know. I'm getting some not good vibration about Kawhi's health. And if he actually needs to be on this roster anymore, because his lack of presence is very prominent, and it seems like that's going to be prominent for the rest of his career, regardless of what team he goes. He will not show up. He's not him. He's not him. Like that's just proof right here. But Paul George had maybe two good games, and when he should have it, he goes what? He goes game three, 7 points. Like, okay, he's playoff P, right? He's playoff P, right? He's not spicy P. He's just playoff P. But then, game four, he's 33 points. It's just the inconsistency from an all-star talent, I think, is what pisses me off, because the worst part is that you keep saying that you're the guy. I need to get the ball. I'm this. I'm this. But it's like you clearly can't carry a team to the playoffs without any real support. And the problem is this team is purely made out of other scoring talent that you don't need it. I don't understand why people keep going for scorers. You need to have people who don't score, who can play off the ball, who can set screen, do the dirty work that the star talent doesn't need to do. But like realistically, I think James Harden, wherever he's gone, he's actually been like the worst. Like he's not been helpful. If anything, he should go back to Houston. He should go back to Houston. That's where he belongs. That's where everything worked out. But I mean, and we saw the end. I think Russell Westbrook. I think this is maybe a year or two. He could probably keep staying on the bench. I think that's his final role, unless he goes to a really shitty team. But with the Clippers' intention to bring all the stars back, it's like, what are you doing? You've been doing this constantly, and you're hitting the second round constantly. You're not getting past that hump. Like, what are we doing here? And I think it's also sad to see like James Harden's like inconsistencies. I mean, we saw him in Houston, and as much as you hated him, it was still fun to see that ridiculous scoring. Just because you're like, what the heck is happening? This is, like we're seeing blowouts nowadays. That's not fun. We want to see like real close games, and we're seeing that here and there. But I mean, you guys remember, 4 or 5 years back, pre-COVID stuff where games were actually really close. I mean, Dame Dollar just waving bye to Paul George. Hey, Paul George as well. Like it was just so much more fun. But now it's like the lack of effort is just being very prominent. No one wants to play defense. It's just who can score the most. And like you guys said, offense can really carry you. Offense is the reason. I'm telling you, defense is needed, and a lot of these teams just don't have it. They're all scorers. There's nothing more to that. But I don't know what to go with this team. This team is, I mean, they're going to Inglewood. I mean, they deserve. They might get shot up down there, but in that new arena of theirs. But look, bottom line is, LA is Laker town. It will never be a Clipper town. And we all know that. When you say LA, it's Lakers. You don't say Clippers. What the fuck is a Clipper?
I think it's a
That's
boat.
actually a great question.
Exactly. No, exactly. But like, why the fuck do you want to be named after a boat? Boats sink. Lakers are a lake. They're a water. You can't fight water. That's just you can't fight.
These are the real arguments, all right? It's not about players. It's about what your mascot says about you.
Hey, I'm just saying, when we go to the next topic, Pelicans. What the fuck are you?
God damn, Kevin. Thunder swept the Pelicans. Bye-bye, Zion. This Thunder team is actually kind of wild. And I want you to talk about this series, but I also want you to talk about your hot take, because this goes hand in hand with what I'm seeing.
I can definitely do that because I only kind of watched this series, but yeah, Thunder are scary. I mean, Shea obviously is like, I know we've said it a couple times about everyone, but Shea is one of him, one of the many hymns.
True. There are a lot of Tims, aren't there?
I'm him.
Yeah, whatever.
Shea is definitely him for sure. Like what he can do on the floor is impressive with the team he has. I wouldn't think, looking at this team on paper, that they would be good or as good as they are. And I think that's mostly because Shea is one of those guys that makes everyone around him so much better when he's on the court. Also, Chet, we finally got to see some Chet basketball.
Yes.
Pretty good. Nothing.
Yes.
I think, unfortunately, he got outshined by Wemby. and he still is a little outshined by Wemby for a rookie.
Which is totally understandable.
But still saw some really like solid, good basketball from him. So it's good to see. He doesn't need to be a Wemby level superstar right away. He doesn't need to be insane. He's going to get better. He's going to grow. And from what we've seen of him, he's pretty good. I think he'll be a really strong piece for this team moving forward. And on top of that, Pelicans kind of suck. Like, Pelicans are just kind of bad. Like, they got in the play-in, but couldn't do a whole lot against this OKC team. I mean, Brandon Ingram has seen better days. Man is not what he used to be, it feels like, and he's still young, but he's just not what he was. I mean, Rip Zion didn't even play in Game 4. I don't know even about the other games. CJ McCollum isn't what he used to be with Dame. RIP. I mean, he's fine, but like, and then the rest of that team are no-name people. If you can name one other person on the Pelicans team besides Valanciunas in the starting lineup,
I was literally about to say Valanciunas.
Good luck.
Oh yeah, unfortunately, like I love McCollum. He's definitely one of those guys where it's just like you can't not like him. He's a very down to earth dude. When he was on Portland, it was wonderful. The way that he talked about basketball is incredible on his podcast. It almost seems like every single NBA star is going to have a podcast. Guess we're fucked. But yeah, I don't know, man. Pelicans, I had such hope for them with Zion, but like that's the thing about the playoffs. If you do not have depth in your team, this is a war of attrition. Injuries are going to happen. You need to make sure that you have the roster to back that up. Because if you're going to be the Bucks and rely heavily on Giannis, who unfortunately is kind of injury prone, like this shit's going to happen. I don't know what else to tell you. I just want to like go right into the Nuggets and Timberwolves really quickly, and then we're going to get into our hot takes. Kevin, I don't know about you, but it looks like the Timberwolves might pull this out. They're 2-0 right now against the Nuggets, making Jokic kind of look like a bum, which is wild to say because Jokic is god tier. He's amazing. But like against the Timberwolves, I don't know what the hell's happening. This defense is absolutely nuts. We were talking about before we started the podcast, we were talking about how like the first game or the second game, Carl Anthony Towns had the highest score, was the highest score at 27 points. But even Anthony Edwards had 27 points. Like these guys are crazy. Sam, I mean, what would you have to say to a struggling Kevin over here? Can you give him any hope for the future, or are we just going to be tearing him down?
Hey, Kevin, just make sure you keep the heating pack, okay? Don't throw it on the court because you're gonna need that when the knees start getting weak. But I think we're seeing something that we're all just shocked. I think we're just shocked, just clearly, and maybe we're not. I'm shocked because of
Yeah,
like okay, that Timberwolves they beat like a broken Suns, like whatever, they swept them, whatever. It's like, oh, you're facing the Nuggets, okay, like good luck. And we saw game one, we're like, whoa, like, did anyone just turn off the TV early? Because I did. I didn't even watch the rest of the game because it was not that enjoyable. I think just seeing the weaknesses exploited, it was always constantly covered up by the raw talent of their big man, our boy Jokic. And I think so the first time where it's been a real challenge. I mean, heck, even game two, no Rudy Gobert, same differential. This is another blowout here after another. And it's not even just stopping Jokic, it's stopping the rest of the town. What they did is smart. Have Jokic be the great highest scorer, stop the rest of the team. I mean, obvious thing, Jamal Murray, not him. 3 for 18 this last game. I mean, obviously very frustrated with his game throwing. Heat pack mid play, just saying, technically should be suspended, but
Not great.
it's the playoffs, so I understand, you know. And because Kevin lives in Denver, we have to be extra shitty on him because it's what we do best on this podcast. Uh, but I mean, we're seeing it when you look at this roster. What did they do? If anything, they lost talent, right? Bruce Brown, he's not everything, but he was a good 6-man piece. I think we can all agree that he was able to, light up the scoring board when it was needed. When nothing else is working, he can score. Things we can't rely on, as we talked about before, I think Michael Porter Jr., I think also not a very consistent scorer when you need it. Aaron Gordon, also more of a role player at this point. You rely on Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. And if both are down, it's game over, right? There's no way you can do this. You can't, be really competitive. And I think that's what we're missing with this roster is that who can really step up after one of their star athletes, goes down. Michael Porter is supposed to do that. He's got the bag, but I don't see him stepping up. Tell me I'm wrong. If you can tell me what we're seeing is just really sad for this Nuggets team because I think there's a lot of high hope, and maybe I'm talking out of my ass at times for this and like saying like the Nuggets are doomed forever, but it's not looking too great because if you're not a Nuggets fan, what's the starting five? Exactly. It's the same point that we had for whoever we just talked about. It doesn't matter. Oh, the Pelicans. Pelicans aren't good, but who else can you name, right? It's like teams that are really good, you can name their starting five very easily. And you can tell, like, okay, like these guys are legitimate threats. But when you can't name it, it gets a little concerning of how present they are in this league, how impactful they are in this league. So um, that's my take that Nuggets fucking suck. This is not their series. Hot take, they probably won't win.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is a hot take. I'll just say this, and then Kevin, you can say your 2 cents. Having Aaron Gordon be your top scorer in game 2 is insane. That should not happen. He should not be your top scorer with 20 points. I'm sorry. That's not it, man. That's not how you win. Kevin?
Kevin about to spit a bar right now. Look at him. He's holding back. He's like,
Yeah, he's
okay,
ready, dude.
got
He's
8 mile
ready.
track going. Got 8 mile going on right now.
No, dude, he's like Kendrick Lamar right now, man. He's writing up his diss track right now.
Yeah, about to drop the hardest diss track known to man. No, I mean, I agree with all of the points you guys are making. Like, obviously, like, I think the biggest thing it comes down to is, unfortunately, Jamal Murray. I think Jamal Murray has to play well in order for the Nuggets to win. I think when Jokic scores 15 points, I think he still does a lot for the team, even if he might not be putting up those numbers. But I think Jamal Murray adds such intensity to the team when he's scoring. He's one of those guys. He scores. All right, Nuggets are going back to the other side of the court, and they're hyped, like because he just made an awesome shot at the last second of the shot clock or whatever. Like, and when he's missing all of those, just shooting brick after brick after brick, it's really tough to stay at their full potential for the Nuggets. Like, I think Jamal Murray almost directly affects Michael Porter Jr. because Michael Porter is so insecure. I think we saw that in last year's championship, especially. Like when he gets cold, he gets really cold. And Jamal Murray's a great piece of evidence for Porter Jr. to like look at and be like, oh, well, Murray's like he got cold and he's like hitting all the shots. Except when that doesn't happen.
Kind of like inspiration.
Exactly. But now when Murray is missing everything because he's covered by two guys every possession, Michael Porter Jr. doesn't have any inspiration to go off of and is also missing all the shots. So it's kind of like a chain reaction effect, which sucks. But I mean, yeah, I think they really got to turn it around, just shoot a little better. Suns, again, to what I said earlier, KD and Devin Booker scored 82 points against the Suns. That's more than the entire Nuggets team scored against the Timberwolves this time. Like, you can score against the Timberwolves. They're good defense. They're the best defense. You can score against them if you shoot well. And we are not seeing that from the Nuggets yet. If they can turn that on, I think they can at least bring it to game 6, maybe game 7. And I think if the Nuggets make it through this series, which I don't expect at this point, if they do, I think they'll win the championship. Because I don't think there's going to be a harder team for them to play than this Timberwolves team that has this insane of defense.
Yeah, listen, I love my Celtics, I really do, but like it's just like with all the play that's been happening, it almost feels like whoever wins the Timberwolves Nuggets, it just like to me it really feels like whoever wins this series wins the championship. Because these two teams are just like absolutely destroying. And like I said, as much as I love the Celtics, like if KP doesn't come back, like that's a very big part of their offense. I really can't see them going all the way if they don't have that guy as a piece. And even though they absolutely dominated this last game, and maybe they are like putting it together and they don't have to worry about that, it's just like, ah, man, the Timberwolves just look so good. And I will never count out Jokic. I can't. It's like it's not in my blood to say that he is like absolutely cooked. But it just it's really looking bad. Really quickly, this is a pretty long podcast just because we've been gone for a couple of weeks, so bear with us. But we've got our last segment of the day. We have our hot takes. I'm gonna go with my first one. And I don't normally do this. I am not the Sam of this podcast. Obviously, I'm not the person that has like the hottest takes out of all three of us. I feel like mine is up there for sure. Uh, I'm getting some Kobe MJ vibes from Ant-Man, and that is that is a hot take. That is exactly what is supposed to be a hot take. Like the odds of that even happening are probably like Vegas giving it like what plus 10,000 or something. You know, the likeliness of somebody ever amounting to Kobe and MJ is very complicated. And yet this dude is just like so much fun to watch. He is able to kind of put the team on his back when he has to. And he's got that dog in him. The dude loves to disrespect people, man. And I love watching that shit. He has the skill, he has the talent to back that shit up. Dude, I don't know if you guys remember this. I don't remember if it was like the play-in or during the season, but the guy had like the most insane blocks ever, with like being able to hustle down the court just to basically jump over a guy to get a block. Like, this dude is him. This guy, hey, it is a long staircase to climb, but if I'm going to give it to somebody to be able to do it, I like my odds of Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of head nods, and this is scaring me a little bit.
No, I mean, I kind of agree. I think it's a high hill to climb, and we're so early in his career. We can't fully say, obviously, but like
Sure.
it's on a good trajectory right now. Of like last year to this year, man's like averaging something like 35 in these playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
That's some MJ numbers.
Yeah,
Like
100%. Not to mention if the Timberwolves like somehow win the ship, and Anthony Edwards is still putting these numbers on him, like, I mean, that's clearly carrying, right? Like, it's wild. Sam?
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely an interesting take. I think you guys along the lines you guys were saying, I think we think everyone is him, obviously. But I mean, what we're seeing is it's not it's not, we've seen this before as well. It's kind of scoring talent and stuff that we've done, which is a little different, right? I mean, we see the same thing with like Luka Doncic, which is like obviously like a very obvious like generational talent
Yeah.
in his own case. But I Anthony Edwards kind of reminds me. Well, it's not really a reminder. I think he basically kind of reminds me of uh like a bigger Jaw, where it's just the way he moves. As of right now, it kind of reminds me of like an
Yeah.
early Jaw, where it's just the way he moves and just the. I think the thing we love the most is his attitude. I think it's
Mhm.
just really like Jimmy Butler-esque attitude, where it's just like I know I'm better
Yes.
than you. Is that even if my arms are broken, it's like I know I'd still score over you, kind of thing. And I was watching it in my YouTube feed. I just get all this random like GQ, like 10 things Anthony Edwards needs, and it's like it's oddly like really wholesome stuff too. And you're like, wait, what the heck? Like you don't really see this in this kind of guy. It's just constantly trolling and stuff like that. But I don't know. I guess it is a pretty hot take. I guess I never really thought about Anthony Edwards until now, and I think really that's the last 10 games of the season where he's just been turning up the heat and really making a statement. Really making a statement during the playoffs. I think that's been very clear um, along those lines, and maybe more Kobe-esque in my opinion, along with that kind
Yeah.
of Shaq presence next to him, with either being one of the big men, either Cat or Rudy Gobert. It's definitely been really fun this season for sure. And I think hopefully, as the years come, we continue to enjoy watching this team. Hopefully, it's not like we're a Warriors thing where they get some other talent and then they kind of add on and we just hate them because now they're too good kind of feeling. But I mean, like I said, this playoff's not over. We don't know how, I mean, we can't, knock this team out. I mean, this team could win the title. It really could. I mean, it's just a matter of what moves are made. It depends who's taking the real shot, who's making the right moves. And that's like every game. But we can't count out the Timberwolves out of the championship round. I know we still got a couple rounds left, but yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how this young man grows. We can say that now, right? He's a young man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say so, yeah. Kevin, why don't we hit with your hot take?
I think I kind of played this a little bit earlier. I think we know Golden State's dying. We know Lakers are dying. We know all those teams that have been presented as these kind of dynasty teams recently, the Bucks, stuff like that. None of them are really doing what they used to. And I think the team that's going to be that next hype team that's going to be good and championship contending for multiple years, like 5 to 10 years, I think it's going to be OKC. I think Shea and what he's doing, I think Chet and what he's going to be doing, combined with all of the draft picks they have in the next few years, like the amount they have picks up until 2030. They have multiple picks every year up until 2030.
That's fucked up, man.
Like I think in 2030 they only have a couple extra like second rounders, but they have three
Mhm.
second round picks in 2030. They have six or seven second round picks in 2029, and then a bunch of other like every single year that are protected or like pretty good in the rest of the years from now until then. So like they have stacked draft capital. So we think they're good now. They're making this good playoff run now. They're going to get insanely better every single year for the next 5 years at least. And then they're going to have a solid team that they're just going to grow. Like it seems like the ceiling for this team is insanely high. And to see the success they're having in this series, I'm very interested to see what they do against a Mavericks team, which is pretty experienced, especially relative to OKC. Like Luka's been in the playoffs a bunch of times, Kyrie's been in the playoffs a bunch of times. Most of the other guys on the Mavericks have been in the playoffs a bunch of times. And OKC is all young dudes. So it'll be interesting to see how that matchup plays out. But I really, really think starting probably next year, OKC is going to be a top five team for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I like that take mainly because they like with all the draft picks that they have, they might not even have a relatively close like roster. Like as what they have right now. Like, they'll probably keep Shea. They'll definitely keep Chet. But other than that, I mean, they could pick and choose, trade all of these picks around, and just like be the next super team. I like that. That's a good take, Kevin. Sam?
Yeah, I think that was the shittiest take I heard in my life. I'm not gonna
Damn!
lie. Maybe I'm doing it for the content, or maybe I'm real. You'll never know, because I'm wild. But I get the take, and I think that's what everyone would say. But you know me. You know, I got the. This is ketchup. I'm spicier than ketchup. You know that. Um, but look, this team is the 1 seed, right? I get it. I get it. And it takes a lot to be a 1 seed, being a very young team, and this is like the youngest team that's been out of the first round. I don't know, since maybe ever. I think it's the youngest team ever, um, which is really good on them. But along those lines, in a couple of years, the Caps gonna just kind of screw this team. They have a lot of good young talent, but you got to win now. Chet's gonna get his contract. He's gonna get his max. He's gonna get paid 33 million a year. Shea's getting that. Gordon Hayward's on roster, 32 million. He still has another year after this, I believe. So there's a lot of good talent. I mean, Josh Giddey will get his bag. We're gonna see these guys start making money that they won't be able to afford. With the mastery of their management trading a lot of these people to get some real talent. I don't know. I think we've seen historically that teams that are kind of homegrown and built have better longevity, and better, I think, just overall talent, because they're so used to the system. This is how we do things. How we do things. When you plug in a guy, it doesn't really just work out like that. And we saw with Gordon Hayward, he got into this team, and he doesn't even play. But the other thing is, like, he's been playing with a different type of team, a different type of demand, different needs, and it's not needed, for this roster. So I think it'd be a mistake for them to trade for a better talent. I think it is better to be homegrown, but it's almost like they have too many picks. And Kevin, if you recall us playing 2K, our players became top dogs, but then we had no cap space. We had no cap space to keep all the 99 overalls, you know? And I think the same thing is going to happen over the next few years. And that's the only reason. I think the cap space is the only reason I see this team not being legitimate threats over the next few years. Who's willing to be selfish to take a pay cut? Like the Spurs, right? As an example. Tim Duncan was worth a bag, but you take a pay cut to make sure we get more people. In this case, who's going to do that? Everyone wants their bag. It's people's livelihoods and all this stuff. But and maybe I just have hate for the OKC Thunder. Maybe that's still true somewhere in my heart. But the team is fun to watch. They can do a lot of damage, but it's still going to take some sacrifice off this roster to really keep this team together.
Currently up 80 to 69. Nice. Against the Mavericks right now. Just throwing that out there. I do agree with you, Sam. The cap space is a really big thing that you're going to have to maneuver. I feel like with what the management has been doing thus far, I feel like they can figure it out. But also, people want their bag. It's just how it is. Sam, let's wrap it up with your hot take.
I think we've already alluded to this many times with my takes, and I hope my cousin listens to this. The fake fan. I'll call the fake fan. I'll call him out. Fake fan of Denver. Until I moved to Denver, the man was not this hardcore into basketball. So I put him on, like I put Kevin on. Not to expose Kevin, but I put Kevin a little bit on.
I'll admit that every day, all day, every day.
Hey, okay. Hey, remember when you lied about robotics? Yeah, okay, another story. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. But look, the Denver Nuggets. You don't lie that to your employer, please, everyone. Don't do that to get a job, please. Hey, Kevin's successful. I won't deny that. The Denver Nuggets, equally successful, just like Kevin, I think has met their match. And the big take is, I don't think this team can last any longer, which is crazy to say because this team has been together for like 2-3 years. But this team can't succeed in this NBA. They will be rebuilding this next season. That's not even a hot take. That's just facts. I only spit facts for the record. When I say things, it happens. So the Denver Nuggets roster is is a disgrace to what I'm being big words today. It's a disgrace. A disgrace to what basketball should be like. Look at this roster. Why is the first person? Yes, it is in alphabetical order, but the first person I see is Christian Braun. Why does this person exist in the NBA? He's a Kansas boy. I get it. Okay, KCP actually homeless. Actually a homeless man. I can confirm that. I went to his home. It was a cardboard box. It was actually a homeless man. Um, Oh my God, Aaron Gordon. Don't even get me started. You know Aaron Gordon. Do I need to go into Aaron Gordon? Let me know. You let me know when we go. Exactly. Ugly, ugly motherfucker.
Damn.
Uh, yeah, just an ugly man. I think he's not the Aaron. Shit, we're older than Aaron Gordon. Man, we're doing something wrong then. But Aaron Gordon is basically a role player. He's not who he's supposed to be. He has very quick flashes and then he's done. He's absolutely useless. Not a real person. He's just not a person in that sense. Reggie Jackson, I read an article and it was like, this Denver Nuggets star did not return to game two. And I was like, okay, let me look at this. And it said Reggie Jackson. Like, he's no motherfucking star. Come on, man. Like, he's no star. Don't do that to me. I was like, oh, it's probably Jamal Murray. Like, oh, Reggie Jackson couldn't make it. I'm like, stop it. Stop it. I mean, we should learn from them to have clicked. I mean, we're working it. Look at our titles, guys. Our titles are phenomenal. We'll see how this one turns out. But, uh, you know, looking at the roster, Michael Porter Jr., I was going to tear him apart and I was going to go personal, but I don't know. Do you hold my earrings? Are we going this far?
Oh God.
I,
Oh
I'll keep
God.
I'll keep him on. It's a little too much for him. I get it. But I mean, thinking more on his performance is just very not good in my opinion. It's not good enough for making $34 million a year. Yeah, I said I roll. You watch it, boy. I see you. Yeah, exactly. So we're talking about really two players on this roster. One who's clearly not showing up in the second round, who showed up consistently in all the previous years, but why not now? Is it because he got a bag? Is it because he won a title? So now you don't have to try? I mean, Nikola Jokic doesn't care. He made it very clear that's like, oh, I like horses. So, this roster has a lot of nobody's. Who the hell is Braxton Key? Tell me. Denver Nuggets fan. Who the hell is Braxton Key? Exactly. I don't even know. Jalen Pickett? Exactly. Who the fuck? What is Siena? What is that? Is that a college? I guess. Shouldn't be. It's a town in Italy. I mean, Hunter Tyson. There's a lot of white people in this roster. I don't want to be judgy, but like, there's a lot of white people. There's at least
Well, it
six
is
players.
Denver, so.
There's six white players on this team. Kevin, be honest. Is that why you're going for them? Be honest.
No.
Damn.
Hey, why are you sweating? Why are you sweating over there? But down to my real point is that, like I said, Bruce Brown was not everything, but he was definitely something to this roster. Like I said, you need that. What's the 2K word for it? Spark plug. Spark plug. You need a spark plug on this roster. But Jamal Murray sits, Jokic sits. Who's the spark plug? We rely on Michael Porter Jr., but as a Nuggets fan, we have to agree that I don't think he's the optimal spark plug. He's a scorer. He's a catch and shoot guy, but he's not someone that's a you drive into the lane. You can make. He's not a natural scorer. I'd probably even say like you actually need a Norman Powell who's just like kind of something that's flashy and moves around, runs a lot, and can get buckets when he needs to. You need someone like that. I don't see that besides these two individuals. So what do? You probably have to dump half this roster, which is probably easy in this case. Three people are eating up your cap space, and then there's four people. So you can dump Aaron Gordon, dump Casey. I mean, that man is actually homeless. I literally confirmed that once again. But the Denver Nuggets will be making huge changes this next season. I can literally confirm that. Literally.
Literally. All right. Well, I think we all need to cool down because that was pretty hot. It is so great to be back. It is so nice to be talking NBA again. Hopefully, we'll get on a more consistent schedule. But obviously, right now we have some very busy lives. So we'll try and stay as consistent as we can. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the episode. Again, this is Uncontested with MSK. Kevin, Sam, and me, your host, Matt. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your night. Peace.
I wasn't prepared for this.